been in acoustic mode for the last few months, and I'm starting to itch to do another bass. So this is going to be the intro for the next handful of videos or so, where I'll go over how I go about doing that. So we're going to have a nice maple burl top. We've got a black limba body. The fretboard is ebony, and it's going to be on a maple neck that I glued up some years ago. I'm not even sure when. There's sort of rough placement here of the PJ set that I'm going to use and where the bridge will be, so you can kind of get the feel of what it'll all look like. I kind of originally, when I wanted to do this, I did want to do a like armrest, you know, like where I bend the top to follow the contour of the armrest. Once I got into this burl, I think it's brittle enough that I'm terrified trying to bend it. So this will be for sort of a flat top, no armrest. Though playing these things, I'm not sure that it really makes much difference. I have several of each, and they all kind of feel the same to me. So I'm not too worried about that. The color is sort of interesting, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do that. The maple definitely has got some pink undertones to it, and of course the black limba is very, very green. I have some notions what I'm going to do with that, and we'll see if that turns out, but I will go into that in depth later as I get into the finishing. Let's first talk about the body. Black limba. And I've already sort of dimensioned it to thickness and cut off, you know, like a big chunk of the excess. You notice that the grain is kind of skewed a little bit, and this is typical when you buy a body blank. They usually oversize them, so that works out okay. What I try and do is, here I've sort of aligned my center line to follow the color of the grain line. So it's going to be cocked a little bit, still fits and everything, but now my grain will look straighter on the body. Obviously that's like sort of a subjective thing that you can do, but for most things that's sort of the look I'm looking for. I've already laid out where the template's going to end and start, so this guy sort of rests about here, and we would go ahead and cut out an outline and then, you know, glue on our top. But before we glue on our top, there's a couple of things that I want to do. One, we want to go ahead and cut out the control cavity. So this is way easier if I don't have to, you know, go to the depth of the top. I can just route straight through, get a nice clean cut. I can sand it very easily because I can get to both sides of it. So I try and do that. The other thing, and I'm not sure how much of this will pick up, you can see here on the diagram, I also try and route my wire lines too. So I'll put a little shot here between the bridge pickup and the control cavity, and then have another run here from the neck pickups to the bridge pickup, so I can run all my wiring. And I sometimes will go ahead and pre-cut also the ground wire for the bridge. So you don't have to do this. I certainly have done my fair share of shoot the really long, you know, screw or drill bit through the jack and get to where I need to go. But when I remember to do it, pre-routing out these wire cavities works a whole lot better before I glue on the top. Pretty straightforward. Little double stick tape. Make sure we get it on sort of the far edges as best we can. This is the most leverage These days, what I try and do with my templates is I've got where, okay, this is going to be the tail. This line just goes along the center line. Line it up. Drop it down. All right. Next step, we'll just go to the drill press, and we'll use some Forstner bits to hog out the bulk of this. Then we'll come back and clean out the rest of it with a router. And we got pretty good clean cut all the way through. Now you might end up with a little bit of tear out. I do use a scrap piece of wood in the back there to kind of keep that from happening. A little bit is tolerable because you're obviously going to be routing a bigger hole than this, and then ultimately the control cavity cover is going to go here, so you're going to cut in about 1/8 of an inch anyways. Now we've got the bulk of our stuff routed, or cleaned out here. The router will have a whole lot less work to do. And I'm going to take a little piece of scrap MDF and sort of put it outside the range of our template here and use this while I'm routing. Reason I want to do that is this is the biggest router bit that I'm going to need to use, and if I go the full depth of the wood, well, I'm going to tear up my surface here. I don't want to do that. Additionally, with the right base, this is going to push most of the debris down into the bottom where it'll get picked up by my dust table here. Ultimately, these are all the bits that we're going to use. Basically, I've started off with a 1/4 inch cutting surface bit. And we'll just move up in like 1/4 inch increments until we can do the whole thing. I've tried various, compression bits, that kind of thing, all spiral bits, all stuff, to do these kinds of cuts in one pass, and it never comes out good. So the thing that I can suggest always for the best level of cut is just take a little bit of a time and work your way through it, easily. Don't push it. So that's what we're going to do here. Each pass is going to be about 1/8 of an inch. We'll swap out bits every couple of passes, and we'll work our way through it. Last cut. This is actually pretty nice inside. Minimal sanding will be required. No tear out or anything like that. Shallow cuts, are sort of the way to ensure that. If taking bigger cuts, you're going to spend more time sanding it, cleaning it up. So just do it slow and steady, and you'll save yourself time in the long run. So I've cut out my template here for my design. And I don't really have any kind of jig or anything for doing these channels for the wiring. So what I'm basically just going to do is use this to mark some spots, and then we're going to use a bushing bit, 1/2 inch bushing. We'll center it on the line here. Put a couple of pieces of MDF there for it to ride against, and then just route out our channels. These don't have to be super precise. It's just giving a little place for the wire to go. Cosmetically, you'll never see it. And way to get the next one in place is just use the bushing bit to sort of set the width. So let's go ahead and do that. Do go through a lot of this double stick tape. Stuff works on a X fasten. I think I need to pull this one up a little bit cooler. And then we'll tape a couple of blocks here to sort of keep us from going too far. See where our lines were. That's our stop block for there. And this will be our stock block for here. We've got the plunger router set up to do our cut. Once again, 1/4 inch bit, 1/2 inch bushing. We've set up some stop blocks to keep us from going too far in either direction. And we've got the two chunks of MDF here to keep us on a straight line. We want to do about 3/4 of an inch deep cut, so bottom out on the material itself. Then we'll use the depth guide here and just set it. And now we're ready to do the cut. Now here's our channel that should go from our neck pickup to our bridge pickup, and then we can go from the bridge pickup down into the cavity. So we'll do the exact same thing for that channel. I won't do that on camera because you've already seen it done, but I will show you the results. Channels are routed. Everything went as planned. I did do also for the ground wire on the bridge. That I go much narrower because you're not trying to fit through, you know, like a little plastic connector or anything like that. It's just bare wire, so that's like an 1/8 by an 1/8 inch channel. And I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper and sort of run around the edges here, and not going to do much to it, but just make sure that we don't have any strands sticking out that might, you know, push up on the top when we go to glue that down. And then we are good to go. We'll sand out the pocket to make sure it's nice and smooth while we have easy access from both sides. And then the next step after that will be to glue down the top. So I mean, once again, it may seem counterintuitive to do this kind of stuff before you get the top on, you know, like I don't know where that's all going to go and things like that, but if you can do the math ahead of time, you'll save yourself lots and lots of trouble down the line. If this is the kind of content you like, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next one.